Okay, so I've been meaning to do this for a while, so I've wanted to make a tutorial for how to submit essays in each of the various formats. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to open up Google Chrome. That's the browser that I use. That's the browser that the college suggests. So, I mean, if I were you, I'd figure out a way to get it on your computer. You may have to YouTube how to find ways to let you have Google Chrome. But I'm going to go, as I always do, start up an incognito window so it doesn't log in from my teacher account and go directly to my student account. Remember, you're going to have an 8-digit birth date, and that's your password, and your username is going to be your student ID number. My fake student doesn't have a student ID number. He has an actual username. So I'm just going to choose English 1301 as an example class, even though I have him enrolled in all three. Every single time you go to submit an assignment, it's going to be over here on the left in assignments. The info sheet, if people haven't done it already, you can do it there. And I can make a tutorial for that too if people would like. But Essay 1, the narrative essay. PDF is the easiest way to open the assignment file, the easiest way to look at it. You can scroll through and find what it is that I'm looking for. But I don't suggest using that one to do what I'm about to do. So I don't have an essay written. I have the sample essay that I was going to use to submit. So what I'm going to do here is actually show you how you can download just the sample. I would put it in your documents folder because it's easy to find. Your computer might automatically start downloading to the downloads folder. That's where your file will be if you didn't already set a location. I always set it to ask me, so that's the way it does it. So I'm going to open the documents folder here. I'm going to save it there. It says, do you want to replace this? So in this case, yes, because I don't really care what the old version used to be. I'm going to open it. Now when I open it, I've got the file here that I can look at and look at the instructions, and you might think, well, I mean, I can do the same thing in PDF. What you can't do, though, and what's really convenient, is you can copy the entire sample essay, just like this. I wouldn't copy the little note at the end. You don't need that. You can right-click and copy, or hit Control-C. Open up a, let me show you how I did that. File, New, blank document. I hit Control N, it always starts a new file. And from here you can hit Control V or paste, and you look at the one that works the best for you. I don't know, what pictures seem to even slow the computer down, so I don't want to do that. So I'm going to do this use destination theme. Usually keeps source formatting as the one that works the best. But you'll notice there's a couple of things about mine that doesn't look quite 100% MLA. I'm sorry, APA. Both of their formattings are the same in terms of font and all that stuff. But if we look at, I'm going to pin this here so we can continue to look at it. But the first thing I'm going to do is go to Layout. I'm going to click Margins, 1 inch on the top, 1 inch bottom, 1 inch right. That's usually the normal setting, but you can check Custom Margins, change the top, left, bottom, and right to 1, and that'll get you what you need. And make sure that you're in portrait mode on the margins as well. Like it said here, portrait. If you're in landscape, it's going to show sideways paper. You don't want that. You want portrait. And then once you get your settings there, you can actually do this thing where you say, you can set your custom margins if it's not already the default, and say set it as default. That way, every single time you open Microsoft Word, it's going to look exactly the same. After that, you'll go to the Home tab, and what I would do is just highlight everything, and you can do that by either dragging and highlighting everything, or the easiest way for me is to hit Control A. It's Control All. Basically, what it does is it highlights every single thing in a document. That way, you don't have to worry about the manual highlighting. You can open the font box here, but there's still little we have to do. You could just highlight, find Times New Roman. It'll be down here in the full alphabetical list if it's not already one of your most recently used. By default, I think that Microsoft Word likes to use Calibri, which I think is kind of an ugly font and nobody uses. Change the size of the font to 12. And what you're probably going to want to do is change the whole document first to double spacing. Though you'll notice that changes the look of what we had pretty significantly. So this is one of the reasons that I suggest just copy pasting from the sample essay, because I want it to look like the way it was before, not like this. And if you there's a trick on Microsoft Word. If you hit Control Z, and this is actually true most of the place on a computer, Control Z will undo a change you just made. So I could actually make tons of changes to my document and then take them all back with Control Z. If I actually realize I liked all those changes, I can hit Control Y and they all go back. But you can see that I actually prefer the top of the document to be single spaced. This is actually single spaced as well. There's a single line there. For some reason it's italicized. We can get rid of that. And then I have a single space here. I also have a single space there. We'll get rid of that italicizing as well. A single space here, get rid of that italicizing. And then it goes into double space finally, because you can see I can't click between lines here. This is all just double. So if you wanted to start a document brand new and do this yourself, the way you would do it is, first of all, it looks like it started out centered, so I don't want that. I want to start out on the left. I'm going to type out Magnus Baraka. I'm not really that particular about what goes in the heading. I just want to make sure that the name is there, the class, the date, and probably my name, just so we're aware like what teacher you did it for. So let's say that it's Magnus Baraka. It's English 1301 section. I don't know, 401 is one of my sections. Probably gonna do the date before that. In fact, I don't even know. How do I have it? Oh yeah, I was right, the date. So today is, you can type it in really any format that you want to, as long as it's an accepted format somewhere. This is actually the international format for dates, but you don't have to do that. You can just type out January, and it's going to finish out the date for you. If you feel comfortable doing that, you can do that. And you can type out Nichols, enter. Then you can go center, or you can hit Control E. It'll do the same thing. You can say essay 1, narrative, essay. I've had students ask, do I have to have a special, and notice I want 2 spaces between there before I go back to my normal essay. And that's the beginning, the heading that I want. And I don't want you to put in the header. Up here, I want nothing on a narrative essay. In fact, I want that for any essay that has no research. I don't need anything up there. It's such a short essay, you don't even need page numbers. If you really want page numbers, the way you would do that is to go page number, top of page. I just accidentally clicked. That was a mistake. Page number, top of page. Notice this one's on the right. And what you would then do is add your last name to that. And in this particular case, it seems to be in the font of Times Roman 12 already by default. I guess I've already made those settings. But you want a different first page. So what I'm going to do is, when I say different first page, it means that this first page won't have the page numbering, but every page after this will. So you don't have to set it that early, but you can. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, and let's just pretend I've written an entire essay. So I'm going to highlight this whole essay here. I'm going to copy it, or I'm sorry, right-click, copy. Go over to the other window. So manually is how I'm actually clicking manually, so that's how you should do it. And then right-click, paste. Which one's the best? Let's go paste it like this, because then I've got my heading looking the way it should. Looks like I've got 1 extra space here that I don't need, because I want 1, 2, and I don't want a third. So I can delete this. Use the delete key, not the backspace, because delete will delete everything that's in front of it, but backspace takes back everything that's behind it. Does that make sense? When you use a backspace key, it does this. Watch. I take the word promises, I hit backspace, it gets rid of things that are behind it. But, and here's that Control Z trick I was telling you about. Control Z brings the word back. If I hit delete, it deletes things that are in front of it. And I feel like sometimes there's a lot more control in using Control Z, or I'm sorry, the delete button. So this is the formatting of the essay that I'm dealing with right now. Looks like I'm going to have to do submission on a different video. And like I said, delete. So now I've got everything looking exactly the way that I want, and I am ready for submission. One thing I'd like to point out is that when I had all these paragraphs here, many of you will notice that yours don't look like this. Yours actually look like, what is it? This normally. And you're going to start out seeing something like this. I do not want your papers to look like this. There's an extra space after every single paragraph, and you might be like, how in the world did it get there? And also, these aren't, and you might be wanting to like manually tab every paragraph, but look how much work this is. I don't want you to do more work than you have to do. I definitely don't want you getting to the end of each line and hitting enter like it's a typewriter. I've had a lot of students who are even young students do that before. Um, Microsoft Word by default, as you type more words, it continues on to the next line, so you don't have to do that. One of the reasons too that this is really great to do this in Microsoft Word is that I've noticed that when students will do things in Google Docs and then try to, or do them somewhere else like a Notes app and then paste it into Google Docs, there's something about the copying and the pasting of the formatting and the way that it seems to work is sometimes it will take the way it looks, especially if you try to do this from Pages. If you try to create a PDF document, then paste it into like Google Docs or something, or paste it into Word, for some reason it takes whatever the way it looks like right now. You see how all this is? And like this line ends here. For some reason, when you copy paste from a PDF format, it puts a line break in right here, almost like you hit enter on every line. And then so when students are trying to add words, they're having to go back and take all those enters out. That's why it's best to just type it in Google Docs or type it in Microsoft Word, because you won't have the problems of trying to paste from a PDF file, which, I mean, this might be getting a little too advanced for you, but if I copy all of this now and I go to paragraph settings, there's that little tiny arrow in the corner of the paragraph box. Make sure all of my indentation on the left reads 0. So notice I have one that's not 0 here, so I want it to be 0. And what that does is it gets rid of that space between paragraphs. Now they're all even. When I click this paragraph box again, I also want to set up a special first line indent. So it's going to indent the first line of every paragraph, just like hitting tab for you. And when I do that and I hit OK, there it goes. So it actually formatted everything exactly the way that I want it. I've even got the page number in there from messing with the header earlier. And I can now save this document. My suggestion is saving the name of the title of the essay, the full title, and then also your name attached to it in some way. I noticed a lot of students will just leave things as like document 3, as you can see here, document 4. But that's easy to lose files that way. I would suggest including as much detail as you can. And putting it in a folder makes it easier to find, just like in real life. It takes a couple extra seconds, but it's totally worth your time. I don't suggest saving files this way. If you feel comfortable saving in Microsoft OneDrive, totally don't mind that. It's a good way to like make sure that your documents don't go away, because it's going to upload them to the cloud every time that you save. And documents are so small, they're not like pictures on your iCloud, like where they take forever to upload, because a picture file is 9 megabytes. This is 24 kilobytes, which is roughly 2% of the size, I think. It's not even anywhere close. No, it's like less than 1% of the size of a photo. So you're not gonna have to worry about space. I would always suggest hitting that button that I just hit. Let me show you once again. Control S. Oh, I'm sorry. I just realized. File. Save as. Always click the Browse button. I mean, you can save it in your OneDrive like it was there. You can save it right here. But I would suggest hitting Browse, going to your Documents folder, making a new folder. Like just right-click, New Folder, and I would call this English 1301 Fall, or I'm sorry, 2020 Spring. And if it's a different class, save it as a different folder. This is a good way to keep things, though, organized by class and numbered. That way, if you ever need to use your work in the future for a different assignment, or provide a writing sample for going to graduate school or to apply to university, sometimes you have to do that. It's best not to get rid of any of your essays. Always keep them. So I'm going to save this as, I'm going to start that new folder, hit enter. I'm going to open it. And I'm actually going to leave my name in there. I hit the home button, I can go to the beginning of the line. And that's what I'm going to do here, is I'm going to save it as maybe English 1301, 2020 Spring, Essay 1, Narrative Essay by Magnus Baraka. I don't have to put the by in there, it's kind of implied. Putting all this information there is very helpful to you, because you'll wonder, is this the essay I'm thinking about? Because if you just title it Essay 1, you're never going to know. It could be Essay 1 for this class, Essay 1 for Mr. White's class, Essay 1 for Miss Elliott. You never know. So I suggest including as much information as possible. I'm going to save this. Now I have a nicely formatted saved file. I know where it is. It's going to be easy to access when I need to submit. So what I'll probably do right now is, so I can create separate videos, but out of the same information from the same files. I think what I'm going to do is just put a marker in here. But this is how to format. You didn't need to know that information. This is how to format a form in Microsoft Word.